What's up, DJ Tech Tools? Ryan Dieger here, and today we're going to be doing a review of Native Instruments' Komplete Kontrol S49. This is their first keyboard controller that's designed to integrate perfectly with Komplete. Ever since the release of Machine, a lot of people have been waiting for a dedicated Komplete controller, so we're going to take a look at it today and see if it lives up to the hype. So we're going to start off with the hardware itself, and Native Instruments has built a really high quality keyboard here. The S49 in particular weighs just over 12 pounds, so when you pick this thing up, it feels solid and it feels really rugged. They've also gone ahead and included a high quality FATAR key bed, so this has a nice weight and resistance to the keys. What really separates this keyboard from other MIDI keyboards on the market are two things in particular. Instead of having traditional pitch and mod wheels, we have touch strips similar to what you'd find on the Kontrol X1 Mark II. So this allows for some really unique control features. What you can do is you can touch anywhere on the strip to instantly jump to a new value. The mod wheel, or the mod strip, can actually be set to bounce up and down. It can also be set to, you can kind of throw the mod strip forward and it'll endlessly scroll. So you can get some really unique performance functions out of those. Next, the most unique thing probably about this keyboard is the light guide. Now this might look like a bunch of pretty lights, but this actually serves a very functional purpose. One of the main uses for the light guide is tied in with the keyboard scale feature. So as you can see right now, all the keys are equally lit, but if we engage the keyboard scale mode, you can now see that some of the keys are lit and some of them aren't. When we're in scale mode, the keyboard will light up to indicate our root note and the notes that are also in that particular scale. So as you can see, some of the keys are lit more brightly than others. So the ones that are lit more brightly are our root notes, and all the other lit keys are notes that are in that particular scale. We can actually change the scale by hitting Shift and pressing Scale. And now you can see on the menu here, we can select the root note, and you can see that the scale, or that the light guide is changing. And we can also select from several different scales that are available on the keyboard. So as we change scales, the light guide is going to change to indicate the root note and the notes that are in that particular scale. We can also set our keyboard to easy mode, and what this is going to do is set the root note of any scale that you're in to C, or the first note in every octave, and then it's also going to block out all the black keys. So all the notes that are in the scale are going to be only playable from the white keys. If we enable chord mode, we'll also see that the light guide will light up to indicate the notes that are being played in that particular chord. So if we turn this on and set our chord here, you can see that the first, third, fifth, and seventh note are lighting up because those are the notes that are being played with the chord mode. So if we keep playing along, you can see the notes light up across the light guide here. This can also be used with the built-in arpeggiator, so if we turn that on, we can see the light guide is lighting up all the notes that are being played by that arpeggiator. The second main use of the light guide is to give you feedback from your software. Now, depending on what software you have loaded, the keys are going to display different things. Right now, I've got an instance of Polyplex loaded up, and as you can see, these keys here are lit up to match the color of the cells that are in Polyplex. So this is beneficial in helping me find where my sounds are actually mapped on the keyboard. With an instrument like George Duke's Soul Treasures, we can see where our samples are by the blue keys here, and then we can also see where key switches are, which are indicated by the green and red lights. So the green lights are actually used to change the pitch of the samples, and the red lights in this case are actually used to control effects in contact. So you can see that this makes it really easy to use certain instruments and to let you know where all your controls are on the keyboard. The keyboard has four main sections, and we're going to touch on each one of these briefly. First, we've got the transport section, then we've got the performance section, and then in the middle, we've got 8 touch encoders and our clear view display here. And finally, we've got the navigate section. The first section that we're going to look at is our transport section. Now this will give us control over our host or DAW's transport. So we can start playing the DAW, or we can record, stop, restart. We can also set a loop, and we can also rewind or fast forward. The one thing that is missing from the transport section is that there's really no way to erase what you've recorded. So to really keep your workflow going, you basically just have to keep kind of recording notes or sequences, and then you'll have to go into your arrangement view and just chop out the parts that you want to keep or that you don't want. The next section that we're going to talk about is the performance section. Now, while we already covered it in the light guide, we are going to cover one thing that I didn't discuss yet, which is the chord set feature. From the scale edit view, we can access the chord set mode by turning the chord all the way to the right until it says chord set. And what this allows us to do is to select from up to 8 major or minor sets of chords. And what this is going to do is map 12 different chords across an octave. So if I start to play the notes here, it's going to play 12 different chords. So this is a great way to experiment and come up with progressions that you might not have come across otherwise. So we can again change to a different minor set. So again, really fun to play with and to give you some fresh ideas and fresh inspiration. The next section that we're going to look at is the display and knob section. And this section serves two purposes. The first purpose is for controlling the built-in performance features. So if we go to the scale mode, this gives us control of the key, of the scale type, also gives us access to the chord mode, and this also gives us control of the built-in arpeggiator, so we can change the rhythm or timing, we can change the swing, adjust the dynamics, gates, and so on. And the second purpose is to give you control over the parameters of your Komplete instruments. What Native Instruments has done is actually taken the things that you most commonly want to control and map them to the first 8 knobs on the encoders here, and you can also see them displayed with the clear view display. If you need access to more controls, you can actually page through them using these page left and right buttons. And some instruments have as many as 17 pages, so this is a great way to actually give you control of all these parameters without having to map anything yourself. The last section that we're going to look at here is the navigate section. Now this is where we can actually browse through our instruments and filter those instruments by types and modes to really dial in and find the sound that we're looking for. So to load a sound, all we need to do is press browse, and using the encoder here we can select our instrument. So in this case I'm going to select Monarch, and we can filter it by type, such as bass, brass. For now I'm going to filter it by bass. And to select the type, you just click the encoder to select the type. And then from there you can go to select something like analog bass, digital bass, to filter it down even further. So once you've selected that, now you'll be able to browse through all the presets that are in Monarch that are bass and tagged as analog bass. So we're going to load this disco bass here by clicking on the encoder. It's going to load up for a second, and now we can actually play that preset, and all of our knobs are also mapped as well. Loading a new preset is as simple as using the preset up and down arrows. What this is going to do is just scroll to the next available preset. So we press that. We can just keep scrolling through and trying new sounds until we find something that we like. So overall, the hardware is pretty solid. One of the main complaints I have, though, is that it's currently not possible to browse and filter through your instruments and tags directly on the keyboard itself. Now this seems kind of strange because Machine has had this feature ever since Komplete 8. You can do that all straight from the hardware. You don't have to look at the software to browse and load instruments. That isn't the case with this keyboard, so hopefully that's something that can actually be changed or updated with a future software or firmware update. The last thing we're going to look at is the software itself. So we've got the Komplete Kontrol software open. This is actually a free download if you own Komplete 9 or Komplete 10. That includes Ultimate as well. So on the left we can see all of our instruments here. And if we select an instrument, we can go by type, we can go by mode. And once we select a preset from the drop-down menu here, we'll see our instrument loaded up in the right here. And this presents a really simplified interface that's aimed at just giving you the essential controls for this plugin. If you want more control, you can actually click the plus button here, and this will expand the view to give you the full plugin view that you'd normally see if you just loaded these plugins on their own. Another cool thing about this software is that you still have access to the performance modes by clicking this icon up here. So if you're on the road, you can still load up your plugin inside your DAW, and if you just have a portable MIDI controller, you can still utilize the scale and ARP feature with that controller. One complaint I do have about the software is that if you're using it as a plugin and you're using the performance mode won't actually output the correct MIDI notes. So if you're using a particular scale or you're using the chord set, the performance mode won't record those MIDI notes into your DAW. So this makes it a little trickier to copy and paste chord progressions or melodies onto a third-party plugin or onto another track. That information is locked into the software. You can see an example here. I've recorded a clip on my Komplete Kontrol track, and then I've copied that exact same clip onto a third-party instrument. So if I play the track here, or play the clip here, the performance mode is enabled so you can hear the chords that are being triggered from Komplete Kontrol. Now if I stop that clip and play that exact same clip on the Juno pad, it's just triggering a single note. It's not actually triggering a chord. So overall, I was really impressed with Native Instruments' first keyboard controller for Komplete. It gets a lot of things right. The hardware is really solid and really well built. The integration with the software is super nice. You get a lot of really cool features like the scale, chord, and arpeggiator mode, and being able to have all your Native Instruments plugins tied into one nice plugin that lets you quickly browse through instruments and presets. Just made it such a huge workflow enhancement. I definitely couldn't go without it now. Now where the keyboard does fall short is that it actually doesn't include any software, which is really strange because the software really drives a lot of the features. So if you don't own Komplete and you pick this up, you're basically just picking up a standard keyboard controller. You can still use the keyboard and map the knobs to third-party plugins, but what you're not going to get is the scale mode, the chord mode, arpeggiator, and you're not going to be able to browse through your presets because that's all tied into the software. So it seems really strange that Native Instruments chose not to include something even like a Komplete Elements, like a light version of Komplete, to showcase these features to people that pick up this keyboard for the first time. If you are already a Komplete owner, or if you're looking at getting Komplete and you want something that's tightly integrated with it, this is an awesome keyboard controller, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone that owns Komplete. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's review of the Komplete Kontrol series keyboards. If you're planning on picking one of these up in the near future, you can support the DJ Tech Tools community by picking one up in our store. We've got all 3 models available and Komplete 10 available in the store as well. So for more tips, tricks, articles, reviews, and so much more, keep an eye on djtechtools.com.